All right, I'm Don Ford. This is Brace for Impact from Organizing for Better Tomorrow. I'm here with the whole crew. We're in our Discord, having the pre-call, keeping track of all the... It just got to a point where you're like, all the bad things that are happening kind of at once. And you're just like, it seems like there's a lot of bad... Well, what are the good things that are happening? And I don't know if Kristi Noem losing her job is it's a good thing. Okay, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Kristi Noem getting told. So here's the calendar of events. If you're a 24-hour news cycle individual like some of us are, Trump basically just decided to fire her, or remove her from her position and bring in somebody else. The guy apparently did get a phone call. He's running for Senate this year, 2026, and he doesn't look like he had a lot of time because he's still in all the election data. So this is not like a planned thing. And it happened so fast that Kristi Noem was giving a speech as the DHS director when the Trump tweet went out saying she was fired. So she's giving her speech. She doesn't know she's fired yet. And it says Kristi Noem fired.
It's hilarious.
DHS chair. And that...
he loses
director,
the flying love bus.
Oh my god! But her blankie, the blanket.
Right, the blankie.
The blankie. Yeah, no, I, man, that whole thing got so weird. If Trump actually watched the hearing, it got weird. And just I don't know, everything about it is super awful. Apparently, I saw a thing, and I don't know if it was correct, but apparently he likes killing puppies too. But he saw that she had killed her dog in the book that she wrote about it, and was like, I like her. We should hire her. That was literally, that is the man we were dealing with. He saw this person killed their dog, and he was like, these are good people. These are good people.
But then he saw the hearing, and he saw her speak, and he was like, oh, wait, she's with Corey Lewandowski? I fired that guy.
Yeah.
Maybe she should be with me.
Ew.
You have to. I have to wonder if he secretly has a jealous feeling that might have also played a role in him firing her.
I didn't even consider that until you're saying that right now. But I mean, it could just be the attention and the
right,
but
the attention.
So he apparently. So we are. I don't know if you're on streamers or whatever, but they're the ones we aren't boycotting, of course. Which I don't think that leaves any of them. But they've been running ads on all the streamers telling you to self-deport for a while. If you're here illegally, you must deport yourself. And apparently she spent a ton of money on the ad and putting it up. And she said she had Trump's approval, and Trump was like, no, she's lying. I never said that was okay. And I heard the number 220 million batted around. I don't know. You hear nowadays you have to take everything. First off, it's happening so fast. You have to take it with a grain of salt because is it coming? Is it real? Are we just throwing numbers around? Where is this actually? But the commercial was really well done. I mean, it's an awful commercial pushing terrible shit, but it was good, and it was everywhere. It was in all of the time slots. It was a little aggravating.
You're talking about the one that was on TV, right?
Yeah. It was on TV. It was on the streamers. It was on everything. Yeah, I assume that's where the 220 million is the real number. I assume it went into ad buys.
Mm-hmm.
Ad buys are wildly expensive. That was a kind of a part of we had put together for our own proposal as doing ads related to long COVID. We had a bunch of really kind of shocking approaches we've been working on for that. But you get into you could produce the stuff pretty inexpensively, but getting it where people will see it is costs a fortune. That's why billboards are so successful. But even billboards, you need really strong campaigns, and the messaging kind of that we've been using doesn't really work. That was because our group was long COVID related. We've done a lot of Novak stuff, and I heard this thing talked about. Just on a side note, I want to get into. Some people have been saying long COVID research is kind of stymied, which it has slowed down a lot. But I read a new long COVID study almost every day. I see a new one all the time. Are they good all the time? Well, not really. No, there are not that many good, but there have been very many good ones the whole time because they do such a poor job representing long COVID as this complex disease. They all want to like nail it down into something simple because they're trying to figure out how to develop a treatment, but not a treatment so like people will get better, a treatment so they can get rich. And that's the thing I think is the center of this like research conversation going on Twitter and some COVID conscious spaces, is that I can't help but feel, if you read between the lines on the people who are complaining about the lack of research, who are also researchers, they are complaining about not making money. That they are not making money to do the research because they're like, if it wasn't for funders, without funders we can't do the research. And you're like, okay, well, you can do some research. And these same people also like do a lot of misrepresenting safety data. They do a lot of misleading study interpretations. Actually, honestly, they do a lot of things that I was accused of for a long time over Novavax and long COVID. Even though I was on the opposite end of it, like trying to explain, like, no, the risk is much higher, or the benefit is much greater. And those things turn out to be true. People just don't like when you argue with them the entire time. It's like all the people we used to fight over whether or not persistence is driving long COVID. It's like, yes, persistence is driving long COVID because it drives everything. And like, I feel like the shingles to chickenpox conversation should be enough to be like, of course, persistence is driving some aspect of long COVID. Some aspect, like, it has to be because that's how it happens. It's biologically what occurs. But we see these same people who are complaining about not enough research, ignoring research and denying research and misleading people about research. And I feel like I've complained a lot that these people are not here to like help you. They're manipulating the public to help themselves. And that's something that people really need to like grapple with, because these people are causing a lot of harm and a lot of confusion, and they're doing it while putting people at risk, but they're doing and complaining that like everyone else isn't doing a good enough job. But really what they're trying to do is create public support for them to get in the position where they'll get funded again, and it's about them getting funded. It's not about the research. It's not about making things better. It's because they don't do it. They don't make it. They cut. Like, I've seen so many people who are, I'm sorry, I'm on a bit of a tangent on this right now because I know what we're going to do with this show, but this really bugs me that like we have so many great protections and there's so many ways to like, you're I wouldn't say you're like living a normal life, because you're like, it's but as normal as a COVID conscious person. You're still seeing family, you're still able to do things. You just wear a mask or take these extra precautions, get the couple extra vaccines, get the extra things in your, and use the nasal sprays when you feel like you're in a high risk environment, and like it cuts your risk down dramatically. I mean, even people like this whole nasal sprays don't work thing is just really rubbed me the wrong way, because nasal irrigation works. These people don't understand the mechanics of how COVID infects you. And so they're tricking people and taking advantage of their positions as accredited scientists to manipulate the community from the perception of greater safety measures, but actually for the purpose of lining their own pockets. Now, we try to do stuff as a group, but we don't try to do stuff from the benefit of the damage COVID has caused. We were trying to do stuff literally to stop transmission, to help people understand long COVID better on a larger scale, not just like manipulating a small community online of patients so that they can do something. They can all get together to do something that benefits me. Now, I could do something, but even when we did that, we did it for Novavax. That was something that benefited everybody. When we did that, it wasn't about what I could get from it. Everyone assumed I could get. So I should have done a little more. I should have done a little more to get something from it. But at the end of the day, it was never the goal. And these other people, that's their goal. Their goal is to twist people up and have them think that they're this like expert, and then they manipulate you into thinking things that aren't true, that put you at risk and in harm's way, all so that they again can make a buck. And I think it's very, very, very important to read between the lines of these people, because they make these claims against me. I mean, they have for years. How many times did we all hear that I have hold all this Novavax stock, which I held $100 at one point. I was very proud of myself. Like, I'm not in stock holding position. So, like, if I had stocks, I'd still be selling it to survive. Like, I'm behind right now.
Didn't you barely hold a savings account?
What's that?
Didn't you say before you barely hold a savings account?
Oh no, I don't have a savings account. No, I don't. The joke was I was saying you have a checking account, you have a savings account, and then you have a stock account. And some people have like retirements and shit like that. But like, I don't even have the savings account thing worked out. So why would I have the stock thing worked out? But that's neither here nor there. The point is that these other folks have gotten everything all flipped around on everyone, where everyone thinks that these people who post this data and show these things are actually trying to keep them safer, but in reality, they're doing the opposite. And because people believe them blindly, it's very much it reminds me of the power of the church a lot. You know, it reminds me of how priests were looked at, like they were the only ones who could understand God. They're close to God. And so, these people think that they're close, that these scientists and experts, or credentialed people, I shouldn't call them experts, are closer to the correct information. No, that's not how it works at all. That's them manipulating you for their own interests. I don't know how to make that clear. It's it exists in literally everything else. So I don't understand why people wouldn't think it exists here too. It's just, yeah, of course. It's like when COVID started up and all the people in the Bernie movement were suddenly trusted the government. I'm like, guys, it's the same government we were having a problem with 6 weeks ago is now telling you this stuff now. It's gonna have the same air of problematic. It's not like they stop being problematic between issues.
Yeah, it's like the military industrial complex. There's a cottage industry that pops up around every single thing, whether it's COVID or whether it's weapons or, whatever it is.
Everything that makes money. Even when we were talking about, we had a funny talk with Biff. Biff was because when the Hep B conversation was happening, and I want to be very clear, the Hep B vaccine is super important, a little complicated, where my stance is, I think it should be used in more targeted cases, and everyone should be getting it. Hep B is super terrible, but how we do it doesn't make a lot of sense. And then Biff was he goes during pre-call, he goes, "What's with all these Hep B? Is there big Hep B?" And I'm there is big everything. There is big anything that makes money, anything that everyone uses. There is some group spending thousands of dollars to protect their $1 million interests. That's just how it's everything. Everything that is used on a societal scale has people pumping information into it for the purpose of propelling that industry. And that's sort of the same thing is true on social media. It's just social media marketing. I mean, even to call out a group, WHN, they put together their thing about treatments about long COVID all over the world. And it was basically we got all the doctors treating long COVID from all over the world, and basically we know nothing, and we need a bunch of money to know something. And that was the body of this. That was the body of the study. It was is there anything useful in here? Is there something, or is this just basically a complex ask for billionaire donors, which I respect. Game respects game. You need money to pay for things. But the way they did it, while ignoring treatments that people are using, like how LDN versus the nicotine patches versus why GLP-1 inhibitors sometimes have benefits for people. Why do there's just a lot of things that get into why do these things help and how do they have benefits that are just totally ignored by these groups because they're not they don't care. They don't care about anyone else's information. They don't care. They're not doing it for the greater good. It's not like they have some collective group knowledge that they're trying to share with everybody. They're trying to push their own individual process so that they can make money doing the research, probably to study things we already know. And then at the same time, maybe they get lucky and they make a treatment that helps some grouping of people. It won't be a cure. It'll be just something that mitigates symptoms for a short period of time. And then they can get their name on it, make some money, write a book about it. That's literally what they teach you to do in college when you're trying to be a research scientist. That is the business of research science. And so
it's all geared towards capitalism.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yes, it is all geared towards capitalism. And so you got to realize that when, we're saying, and I go, this is why it's so important. Well, we could disagree because you talk about long COVID, right? You're talking about tons of symptoms. You're talking about tons of disease, basically. And some of that is driven by persistence and some is driven by other factors. But the persistence is degenerative and it does cause genetic factors, causes a ton of problems. So you kind of got to go after the persistence first. So using Novavax, we went to the government. We brought this information to them in a thing, asking for the timing. It's kind of like we asked for all the off-label. We asked for all the room and regulation to use it off-label for long COVID, and a ton of people see improvements. A ton of people. Why aren't all these researchers talking about that? Why aren't they using that as like, hey, this proves that we should go down this that we should take this direction? For some reason, all these same people who are saying there's no research are total crickets about all the things that have shown success that might drive the conversation in a direction. For some reason, nothing. It's like they pretend it doesn't exist because why, right? That's the question.
Yeah. But the capitalism thing, like, it's kind of natural that people are, just move towards self-interest and all these setting up little cottage industries around each, individual thing, no matter if there's something that's horrible or something that's good. Like, people are always going to say, how can I make money at this?
Right.
Or how can I sort of...
You could
argue, and that's not
inherently
bad. I'm sort of.
Well, you could argue. I'll make a point. I'll make a point that I'll agree with you on. That you could argue that we're in a similar boat where we were putting together our proposal. But what was our goal? Our goal was eradicating COVID, changing the public's opinion on how we see long COVID, like not convincing people that they shouldn't use nasal sprays so that they're more likely to get infected, or telling people that there's no benefit to getting a full series of Novavax instead of just getting one as a booster. Like, these people are not just like they're.
What about comprehensive healthcare? What about comprehensive universal healthcare? Like, how often is that talked about?
That's just as someone who helped. I mean, literally.
I know,
but
yeah.
here's the thing for that. I just don't give people a lot of credit for. Hang on 1 second. I don't give people a lot of credit for wanting healthcare for all or single payer or whatever, because that's like the bare minimum. And like, I've met so many people who just say they support it to like a lot. Like we were talking about some pre-call, the Fetterman. Fetterman very famously faked being a progressive, and I had gotten calls leading into his election to unendorse him because he was not who he was saying he was, but it was way too late by then. So we had like the writing was on the wall. So anyways, my point is though, is like, this stuff is very straightforward. We've seen it help people in the community. Because here's the thing about the Novavax thing. Let's say you don't believe. You got two sets of science going on. You got it helps with long COVID, and then you got it protects you from a COVID infection. Right? You got two different sets of science going on, which it kind of proves the persistence. It's like the two parts of a COVID infection is the actual acute infection and the persistence period after, and it helps with both. So if your goal is to make sure that people have the best precautions, you want people to have all the best data, you want people all the best information, then why wouldn't you be advocating for the best vaccine response right off the bat? Because the difference between, like, it's like we're coming into VRBPAC for influenza right now, and I feel like there's this phrase coming up that is really problematic for people. It's standard dose, and people think that the standard dose means like the best response possible, but in reality it means the minimum response. So they use a non-inferiority setup, so it's like it's a non-inferior to the standard dose, so it's better than the standard dose, but just like not worse than it really. So it gets like, it's very confusing to people. And we talk about mRNA and Novavax, we're talking standard dose again. We're talking the minimum response. So like mRNA and Novavax as boosters, if you only check the very basic stuff, have very similar responses. But at the same time, you can get 2 or 3 times that response by getting a full priming series, which is the maximum response. So why aren't these people pushing the maximum available vaccine response?
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, real question for the group. Like how can
is he waiting for an answer?
How can both of those things be true? How can these people be the peak COVID safety experts, but dismiss the highest maximum vaccine protection you can get? Why? Why isn't it the number one part of every conversation? Make sure you get your full series of Novavax. Then you only need them once a year. Might block infection. It might block infection. Very much might. Not won't, but it might. And so why aren't these people? And then you have nasal spray. So we can't. So like, just so you know, if you're listening to this call, nasal vaccines. You see all these studies publishing this, that, or the other about nasal vaccines, but none of them are anything but phase 1 trials. None of them are phase 2 trials. So this is all animal data, no humans. And you got a problem. Just like the IgG4 data, that mice and primates don't have the same IgG4 as humans, our nasal responses are completely different. So all of these nasal vaccines that are coming are so far away. I think Novavax is the only one that has stage 2. They have I know they have, we looked it up a while ago, they have a stage 2 trial. But they're the only one that had anything. And we haven't heard what they're up to at all about it. So all these things are stage 1 trials. Getting it to work on humans is like an enormous jump we have never achieved. So all these studies coming out saying that it's this, that, or the other, it's not grounded in reality. It's all propaganda to try to raise money for their research. The same way these people are pushing the public around so that they can get enough public support to try to make their research happen, which may or may not need to happen, but they get paid either way. It's the same idea, just on different scales. Like, it's just a social media version of these studies that we read. And these studies are just trying to raise funding, usually for like a potential treatment or potential vaccine, something that will drag in investors so that they're like, hey, this might become a stock traded company that makes good money. Like, that's the goal of that. So when we talk about nasal sprays for COVID protection, I just want to say how important it is, but this is a holdover until we can get this science worked out. And it's a lot of science to work out. We're not really that close. So, and when you get vaccinated properly, where your lower respiratory tract uses that response is very, very good at blocking infection. But COVID affects the upper respiratory tract, where your lower respiratory, it's the same immune system, but they use different parts of it. One's using your mucosal immune system, which is the upper respiratory tract, and then it has to infect you to get into the blood, usually through your brain already. Because if you have blood, a lot of blood in your mouth, they can get into and go down, skip it, not go through your brainstem and autonomic functions. But generally speaking, your upper respiratory tract is super vulnerable. Even with Novavax, it works better than everything else, but you can still get an infection 20-30% of the time, where viral load is high enough. Because normal antibodies don't work until you're already infected. Antibodies don't create an invisible shield around you that protects you from disease. That's not how they work. They're in your blood. Sorry, I'm trying to fend off a little bit of a coughing fit here, but I'm almost good. Just 1 second. So the deal is that, when you use the nasal spray with that, it adds that extra front layer. It actually puts a little bit of, defense because you have these cilia, hair-like cell structures in your nose, and that's what COVID's infecting. And so that's why we have studies that are not selling products that explain to you that nasal irrigation using a neti pot will lower your risk of infection if you're exposed. That's not a theory. That's not a product being sold. It's not a regulatory body being tricked. That is an actual mechanism for helping block and prevent infection. You do only have about 2.5 hours, though, if you're lucky. So, when you take these two together, and you take Novavax, getting the 3 shots, having the best upper respiratory tract protection you can get, and then adding another layer of protection to make sure your N95 works. As you're like, working 8 hours or you're doing your thing, you're trying to mask at work. The mask moves around. You're gonna have mask failures. It's bound to happen. Masks do work in professional settings. Like if you're a professional masker, and among other professional maskers, in a hospital full of maskers, we have tons of studies showing they're almost 100% effective. Like it's 99.8, which is what the N95 suggests. It's in the name. So it's like you still want extra layers of protection. So I don't understand how these people can make their whole life committed to trying to protect people from COVID, and they're just leaving the best fighter we have in the bullpen. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Those are a weird cross of sports analogies, but it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense because they're not honest people. They were not honest at any point. They were never honest when they entered the scene. They have not been honest about how they're handling it, and it just ever so slowly it ekes out their little talking points where they're referring to them making money. They're talking about doing research under, like, we're gonna, it's all gonna do this stuff, but they don't even say they're doing it to help people anymore. They're just like research that they think needs to happen. They're so vague and general about it. So it's like really, really manipulative, and it's right in people's faces, and it's like trying to turn the dial up right now. And at the end of the day, these are people profiting off of infection. They're not preventing infection. They are profiting from infection.
Well, isn't that the only thing that matters in American capitalism? Is making money? That's the only value we have, it seems.
I mean, okay.
Yep.
I'll give you that, but I feel like you're in an immoral position where you're trying to profit off of people by withholding information from them so that it can go popular.
Oh, nothing's moral about it. Yeah, nothing's moral about it.
Like, it's what they're doing is wrong, and people don't realize that they're doing it. And when you say, hey, this is happening, and people go, no, it's not. I love that. I love that. That thing makes me happy. That thing makes me comfortable. And I just want to stare at them and, yes, that's how that works. That feeling is called being manipulated. Because manipulators always want you to feel good. They always want you to feel nice. They want you to think that that's the typical narcissistic behavior. That's why people are always like giving me shit, being like, "Oh, Dawn, narcissism, whatever." I'm like, guys, like it gets so much worse. Like, oh, I just want to talk about what I did like in the summer of 2016. That's not narcissism. That's stuff that I did. You know what I mean? That narcissism is convincing people that, to make everyone love me all the time for everything while I secretly screw them over. And I don't secretly screw people over. I do it right in front of them. It's just better that way. It's just, it's kind of a joke. I try not to screw people over, generally speaking. Didn't I say I didn't want to talk about this in pre-call? I feel like I said I didn't want to talk about this.
I looked at the Christy Gnome joke in there somewhere.
God. The person they're trying to replace her with is not any better. He's just as much of an issue. And it's gonna throw a wrench in his election, though.
It's similar to like the Tom Homan, the replacement of that little guy who like they dress up like the SS, who they fired. What was his name?
Bongino?
But what was it? Bongino? No.
Bovino, like a bovine.
Bovino?
Right.
Okay.
It's kind of a move like that. It's not necessarily. Mark Wayne Mullen, also not a great guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, this could open up that Senate seat in Oklahoma.
Did he shoot his puppy in his tell-all book? That's what I want to know. That's pretty much. I assume the line for this role is having killed puppies. He's like, can you kill a puppy for me?
He did make excuses for Pete Hegseth's all of his rape charges, alleged rape charges. You remember that when he was?
Hegseth is so unhinged. He is like, I don't know if you guys have been listening to him talk about Iran. He's like every fascist villain in any. He's saying things like, did they really say that? Can they hear themselves?
He's a fascist in like an 80s movie. I saw the clip this morning that did you see that clip this morning that they put up with Metallica playing in the background with Hegseth's speech, and then Trump appears in the distance like his silhouette.
Oh God.
It was disgusting. I was hoping that Metallica sues them for using their.
Oh, they probably will.
Yeah, they're not down with Trump, I think. Well, the drummer might be, but the rest of them probably aren't.
They have written some anti-war songs, so I mean, maybe. I can't imagine they want their song used as propaganda for a war of aggression.
If you don't know, that drummer was responsible for Heather getting in a lot of trouble. We'll save that story for another time.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. What was it called? What was that? What was the site you used to download music from?
Oh, yeah.
Oh shoot, I can't remember either.
LimeWire was one, and then there was the Napster. Thank you, Lee, the unofficial member of the show, as Napster.
So when I got in trouble from was Kazaa, or however you say it, Kazaa.
Yeah, but it was all part of led by the drummer of Metallica, because they were trying to crack down on streamers and blah blah blah, and then they ended up just giving it all away anyways for free on YouTube.
And it wasn't me; it was my ex-husband that had downloaded all that shit.
Sorry to call you out like that. But I got you to talk on the call, so I feel like I'm winning.
When you first said it, I thought Lars Ulrich literally came for Heather specifically.
I mean, kind of.
We can go with
Yeah, we'll go. Lars Ulrich had a beef with Heather. They worked it out. Not really. No, Heather, we love you, but Heather has the worst luck of, like, if there's any luck involved in a project, we're like, keep Heather away from it.
Oh, it's not that bad.
Okay. We love you, though. We're happy you're here. We're happy you're here. That's what matters. In your new car, because someone crashed into you. We're happy you're here. Accidents could always be worse. Heather, I admit, I do use a KN95. Heather is like a hardcore full N95 or everywhere she goes. Like, she rolls so hard on our COVID protections. Like,
Yeah, and I've been around a lot of sickness, and I haven't gotten it when I'm wearing it. So.
Yeah, it's weird how that works out. It's like it's in the air. Or under your nails. One of the two, right? Talk about under my nails. We kind of, speaking of one more thing about long COVID that I feel like we got some bad news today that really kind of hurt was the Minimizer. Did I say that right? The Minimizer at Invivid, which I still have not figured out how to spell from memory. Mina, Dr. Mina. Michael Mina.
His first name's Michael, right?
Yeah, the Minimizer. I'm sticking with that for the time being. Yeah, he got in charge of the science department in Invivid, and what a nightmare. What a nightmare. Just the worst possible. We had kind of been working on something, keeping Invivid on our radar, and like seeing how and if you don't know, he like was a pretty hardcore COVID protection guy, and then he got COVID, kind of slipping up, got COVID, and then like within like a week he was advocating why it's good for his infant baby to have COVID too, and then like a few days later, like we watched his brain spin out after his COVID infection in like real time on the internet. And then
That's creepy.
Yeah, it happened with a lot of people because we were looking for it. You know, it was right around the time we were it was like the year between releasing my long COVID article and starting the call. So I released it in February and we started the call January, and then like really the call got started in earnest like that spring with like the regular people. And we were watching him in real time go from like this like normal guy who like wanted to protect things to like, oh no, it's actually good for my kid's immunity to risk his life.
Like one of us back to
normal. It was very much one of us, and then he started preaching a lot of COVID's never going away, it's always going to be here, and it turned out he had gotten a job working for a company that made rats, not animals, for feeding
Rapid antigen
snakes.
tests.
Yeah, COVID tests. So he got into the Forever COVID because he got into a business that benefited from Forever COVID. Like, he's a good example of an inauthentic opinion online, because he isn't making an authentic, this is my actual stance. He's doing whatever. Someone put a quarter in him. And I don't know. It could go for Invivid. He could just be whatever, at Invivid and do nothing special, just a job. Or if he continues with his minimizing ways, he could really hold up various levels of treatments or prophylactics, or just maybe he's we don't need that for kids, or just so many things that we could use to expand on. I see him as more of a problem of constriction than a thing that we can this is something we can expand with. I see him as being more no, I don't really agree with that, and you guys should listen to me because I work for you. Or, excuse me. Yeah, he works for them, and they're going to. That's what they hired him to listen to him. Terrible idea, just horrible. But what are you gonna do? It's kind of back to that someone puts a quarter in him, he talks the way he wants him to talk, and if that's what you want, then. But that's not what you want out of your medical lead. Your medical lead's supposed to do leading, medical leading. It's supposed to be not just following whatever my company wants. You're supposed to be I feel I hope this isn't turned into a huge lost opportunity. He's also extremely unpopular with long COVID patients because he denies long COVID and children and a bunch of other things. I can punch up on this one, but not an authentic. He's not an authentic person. He's not an authentic opinion online. I find that so I don't know. It's probably a lot less trouble than what I'm doing. To be honest, it's probably a lot less trouble.
Well, we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, it could be nothing. It could be he does nothing, or it could be he's hugely problematic. It honestly could go either way. I don't see him doing good work. I don't think him doing good at this job is really. All I can see him is non-interfering. I don't think he has the competency on the subject. He doesn't really understand the subjects that well, and the way he talks about it is I don't know. I feel like he's reading from a 20-year-old textbook. You know what I mean? He's not old enough to be that far behind, unless his picture is just severely out of date. That's always possible. We were talking about the last call, they're just now discovering that turns out that interleukins and cytokines cause more trouble than people realize, and women handle them differently. So measuring just one of 14 isn't good enough to determine if it's causing problems. You guys don't understand. If you're in the long COVID community and you're reading studies and you're reading this stuff, if you think they're behind on long COVID, you have just no idea how bad it is. They're behind on everything and really stuck in the Stone Ages. But at the same time, business comes in and controls what people, what's allowed to be seen, or how it can be seen, or how it can be talked about, and it just defies logic. It defies the science, but it's not about science, it's about business. And once you guys realize that, the science is secondary. When they said they switched to a for-profit pandemic, that's what they meant. The science was getting behind the business. Not the science was going to help the business, that the business was going to hurt the science to make business easier.
Which was back to normal.
Yeah, back to
the
normal.
way things have always been.
Yeah, where people just die and get disabled by diseases and airborne pathogens, and we just pretend it's all not from washing our hands.
Which we should have been woken up by the pandemic and started to try to do things differently.
Well, that goes back to the propaganda, because you're talking about business interests, right? So you're talking about big capital, building buildings. They don't want to put these types of HVAC systems into these things because it costs extra money. My father-in-law is a structural engineer, and I was telling him what we were going to do with this organization. And one of the things we're advocating for was businesses to do, cleaner air and better HVAC systems specifically. And he just looks at me why do you need to do that? And I'm because we don't have it here. And he's oh, we did that in Canada 10 years ago. And I was like, oh. So you guys had SARS 1 and you learned from it, and then you were prepared for SARS 2.
Well, that
Whoa.
costs money. That would cut into our profits. We can't be doing that.
Yeah.
But somehow in Canada they did.
Yeah, and that's why Canada and other countries have less COVID, because all the spaces where you would get COVID have already been retrofitted because of SARS 1. They still have COVID. It's not like COVID's gone. They still have COVID.
Right.
There's still a problem. It's a huge problem. It's not like at all, but it's not
But-
as big of a problem as it is in the U.S.
Not that they're perfect, but they do have a slightly different idea about public health, as they have a
Public health system.
yeah, not-for-profit system.
Well, for now.
So that just having that at the base of your sort of philosophy, it might help lead to
if
filtration
if the
building.
government is paying for it, it's seen as a profit loss to have those people get sick, and as a profit gain to clean the air. So, because the government is paying for it, it also cuts down on healthcare costs, right? So the retrofitting, because the same people are paying for the same thing, it's cheaper to clean the air than it is to pay for the extra healthcare. But at the same time, in America, we have it split into two different groups, and those people are like, "Fuck that! I'm not paying for anything."
Yeah, we can make money on the way in and the way out.
On the way out, yeah, exactly. We'll sell you a vaccine, then we'll sell you a treatment.
Let them get sick in that building. We'll treat them later.
It's so shocking when you see these comments from like the banks where they're like, "Oh, well, maybe we should rethink eradication. Maybe smallpox eradication might have been a mistake." And you're like, "Nope, don't follow you. Don't understand what you're saying." They're like, "See, you could make money if you eradicate the disease. You can't make money on the disease anymore." And you're like, "Yeah, no, I heard that. Yeah, it'd be a real shame for something to happen to your market of death." And that's an actual that's the philosophy that these people approach it. Because remember, when we talked about this before, where everything must make profit, everything. Well, that includes all these viruses. So, yeah, that's what you're really fighting when you're fighting clean air. It's like you need to guilt people on a whole other level of complexity to get through to them to make changes to this. And you got to make it show that how it will affect them. Like we were going to make
your bottom line, Jack.
right? We
Yeah.
had some long COVID videos planned that were like, we were going like full shocking with it, because I think like people aren't prepared to like see it the way it actually is, or the way it will be like in 5-10 years. Like we're headed back towards the having a few extra kids because some of them might not make it era.
Right.
Like that's you gotta remember, that's only like
The olden days on the farm.
100 years ago. It's not that long ago. So like we're going back to like that idea. Like I actually now understand a lot about why people were willing to move out into like the wilderness of the Wild West and take risks with everything there. And then they always have like 12 kids, right? And that's, you go, oh wow, no, that's that everyone had that many kids. Just 3 or 4 of them died. Then that's why people would go out there, because there were no communicable diseases, and your kids would survive. You wouldn't have to watch your children die, at least from that disease. It would still happen, but I can understand the philosophy on like why people would be like, "I'm out of here. Me and my 11 kids are going to survive." And it's just like not that long ago, and it seems like that's what's also really scary about what like RFK and Trump and how they're trying to like oppress and like reverse things and like the level they want to do it. It's like we're not far enough away from the problematic eras. Like Me Too changed so much, and that was just a couple years ago. And then before that, it was women being able to get their own credit cards. Like the advent of credit reports, which credit reporting is a awful, terrible, annoying thing, the way they handle it. It allowed women to get credit cards. It gave a freedom like that. We're talking 1980s. So, like, people don't understand, like, we're trying to move forward and give people more rights and more things, and these people are trying to move it back, and, like, the moving it back is a lot more familiar than it seems, especially to young people, because it doesn't, if you're, like, a post-20, what is that, 2001, Sorry, we say 9/11, right? If you're a post 9/11, this is just like, but it's always been like this. You're like, it really, really, really hasn't. It should be like this.
No.
It should be that way, but that's what you're fighting for. You got to fight. We're still fighting for rights. We're still fighting for.
And we've actually gone backwards in many ways, especially women.
And these people want to go back to the bad old days that you're talking about.
Well, yeah, because it's all white dudes who want to control. Apparently they all have broken dicks, and they have to manipulate and control. No, and this is serious. Like, we keep finding out these guys have actual like tiny dick syndrome.
Deformed genitals.
Yeah. We got the Epstein with this piece of lemon or whatever. It's like a agriculture checklist when you're talking about. You got mushrooms, you got a lemon, you got like, it's gross, but it's important. It's important to remember that this is like, it's like a bad cup of tea. Like, it's not a good time, and they're like psychopaths. Now that thing, I don't know. Maybe it's true that they talk about Hitler. Like, Hitler had a gene that for micro penises, and I don't know if that's true. And that's a new thing that came out recently. They took blood from where he killed himself, and then from like the couch cushion or something, and they were able to find his gene. Now, it could just be like late game smear on Hitler, which I'm all for at the same time. Like, go get him. Never too late. Never too late. Hit that one more time. But like, but it is, you look at Stephen Miller and you're just like, yeah, I can see it. I can see it. And that's just sort of like, you have this like control. You have to like control people. You know what I mean? To like this level. And I can't help but like, those things go hand in hand a little more than.
It's amazing that it would make them that evil.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Lee. Did I share my wife?
No, what did you say?
The guys with big junk are too busy for stuff like this. I think was basically the short version.
They're too busy for evil.
You're too busy for that. No, plenty of time for evil. Just like, no, I need to mastermind. And I shouldn't give anyone credit because it's abusive men. It's all men. I came out a lot more as like non-binary and identifying as non-binary during Me Too, because I was like, this is my chance. I'm not with them, and they're like, you kind of are, and I'm like, yeah, okay, fine, but still, it's an extra thing because it's true, and what the hell, it's just, yeah, it really is. It's like all men except Jesse. We'll see about.
What about me?
I said it's really all men except Jesse. Oh, thanks, Jesse, for being so great. He's like the nicest person ever. He's like healthy. He's older than all of us. He sounds younger. He's like a vegan with his like. Oh God, I hate you.
Now a pescatarian.
Pescatarian. Oh God, we found a dark mark. Oh no.
Yeah, the mark of the fish.
You gotta eat the fish, man. You gotta eat the fish. There's a whole bunch of nutrients in fish that like literally make. Now I'm back. Back up. Wow, this is exciting. I got 2 breaks on the thing. Content is not available. Yes, I'm aware. Thank you for letting me know. So that's usually about the time. My throat's not doing great today. But neither is our country. I have no idea what things are going to look like soon, but I know my internet is not doing the thing right now, so I think we're going to cut it short. Thank you everyone for listening. We're here on Mondays and Thursdays. Does anyone have anything they want to say before we get out of here while my thing's still on?
The War Powers resolution didn't end up happening. The next thing is going to be more funding for the military for this war of aggression, which was cited in the Nuremberg trials as the supreme international crime. Nazis were actually hung for this. And that's what we're up to, and that's what our country is doing right now. It's not just against U.S. law and the UN Charter. It is the supreme, what'd I say? Supreme international crime. Yeah, it's the war crime of all war crimes. So we need to not fund this, and I don't know how that is going to work out with Democrats not even really being able to fully commit to the War Powers resolution. But this will be the next thing up.
Well, they would have to. Well, so the War Powers resolution was to stop him from doing this, and then the funding is because they have it all in reverse. So they're going to try to fund it, but they don't have 60 votes for funding. Like, they don't have it. So they have 51. and they might have
Yeah.
49, or they might have 50 with Vance if they pull this guy out of Kansas.
Well, things are going to get a lot worse.
Like, that's actually the weirdly the like, if he pulls this guy out of Kansas, out of the Senate, it means they can't pass the SAVE Act with breaking
Oklahoma.
the filibuster. Oklahoma, thank you. They can't.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
can't.
now that's a good thing. That's a really good thing.
Yeah, don't tell anybody. But yeah, if they pull him out, they will no longer have the ability to get rid of the filibuster, and they will no longer have the ability to pass the SAVE Act. So,
Fingers crossed.
yeah, that might be a happy accident here with this, because the SAVE Act is pretty much dead. But if they get really desperate, they could throw it all against the wall and try to pull something. But they will not have 50 votes to get rid of the filibuster. So I'll take it. I call that a W. Okay, so that's it. I'm Don Ford, Space for Impact. We will be back Mondays and Thursdays for 7 p.m. Pacific. We're actually getting pretty good at starting on time. We usually do an hour, but we're just going to give you 15 minutes now before my internet cuts out again. I should be getting new internet service soon.